Divers spent the day searching for the bodies of 6 men who went missing when the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed yesterday in Baltimore. Last night, the U.S. Coast Guard called off their rescue efforts to focus on their mission of recovery. Officials say visibility will make the search more difficult and more dangerous.
The last thing we want to do is put divers in the water with changing currents, low temperatures, very poor visibility, and so much metal and other unknown objects in the water.
Now we're dealing with the loss of life and economic strain and catastrophic structural damage. So the question really remains here is who's at fault? Tonight we're getting legal perspective from Tom Galligan, law professor at the LSU Paul M. Hebert Law Center. Mr. Galligan, thank you so much for joining us.
Charisse, it's good to be with you.
All right. Well, according to those on that cargo ship, there were reports of some severe electrical problems. This was prior to the incident, which some say should have been grounds to leave the ship at the port until the issue was resolved. Now, with that in mind, and with whatever the NTSB investigators find, who could hold more financial responsibility here or liability?
Well, certainly, and we'll need to know what the NTSB says, and I think it'll be a long and careful process. But the potential folks who could be liable are the vessel owners, the vessel operators. There's the folks who are operating the vessel were different than the vessel owners. It looks to me, at least, like there was a pilot on board, but the pilot, at least from what we've heard, said there was a total power failure, and the pilot said, "I did everything I could do to avoid this collision." So really, I think you're looking at the vessel owner potentially, and certainly the vessel operators.
Oh, well, something I wanted to bring up too. We know this accident is going to result in so many legal battles. They have the bridge operators. Are they at fault because they knew the ship issued a mayday call, giving them enough time to stop the traffic from coming onto the bridge, but they didn't give it enough time to get the workers off the bridge because it was deemed unsafe.
And the NTSB will definitely investigate all of that. But in a situation like this, there's arguably there will be claims made against Charisse, everybody who may or may not be responsible. The standard of care for almost everybody involved is reasonable care under the circumstances. That involves intense factual inquiries, and that would certainly include the folks who operate the bridge.
Well, you know what? I want to just get your feedback on this one. We've been hearing this term thrown around. This is a centuries-old term, the Titanic Law. Can you kind of explore what that is and its the liability of this being involved in this case?
There are actually a couple laws involved, and the Titanic Law is really deals with wrongful death actions, and that one is not going to be particularly applied here. What is going to be involved potentially is an 1851 act called the Limitation of Liability Act. A vessel can limit its liability to the post-disaster value of the vessel unless the vessel owner is personally at fault. So in a corporation, that usually means higher management has to be personally at fault, or else they will be able to limit their liability to the post-accident value of the vessel. Now, you mentioned the Titanic laws. The Titanic Law kicks in and says if they limit their liability, they have to at least put in $420 per ton to go to the personal injury and wrongful death claimants. So it gets, Charisse, it gets really, really technical and complicated fast.
All right. Well, this is obviously at the early stages of this investigation. I know that there's going to be a lot coming out when the NTSB releases their report. Mr. Galligan, thank you so much for joining us. And
thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll be staying close to this tragic story, and we'll bring you information that becomes available from all agencies working this investigation.